of deciding on how we want to display our content, how we want that like website to look like, because obviously it's not going to be full of content at this point. So like how we want to display that so it looks decent, and how we want to start like building an audience off of that. Our advisor or our mentors have really encouraged us to kind of do a email list. So we try to figure out how to like start building an email list so we can like send out when we have new content and kind of build a following that way. And then when we want to start like actually trying to produce content regularly, obviously it won't be as regular as larger publications in the near future, but like when we want to like start actually making that like a priority every week just to produce content. And like I said, bringing in customer interviews. So we did buy a domain name, we're really excited about it. And I'm in the journalism department, and they have free server space for all of the students, so we're using that right now. And one of Marissa and I's professors, Marissa's old professor, my current professor, is helping us with that and told us how we can kind of move that when I graduate in May, or wherever we need to move to. So we're working on that currently. So yeah, what's next is just kind of building that MVP. We're trying to find a good person or people to talk to for our first interview, first couple stories. We have a couple ideas of indie game companies, mostly in the Boulder area. So trying to get in contact with them. I have a contact at a larger company, and so does Marissa, so we're kind of messing with that as well, but we prefer like an in-person interview for at least the first one. So just figuring out with a video interview as well. We're thinking that might be the best platform to go off of, and that'll just be easier to do for the first interview. And create a content calendar. There's a conference Marissa is attending for something else that she wants to kind of do some more interviews at. I think it's in early November, so just setting up the website, making sure it's ready for that is a priority as well.
Okay, good job. So, feedback, questions?
So how do you feel you did in your first 3 minutes with the pitch? Did you get everything said in terms of your value and the
from the feedback we got last time, we haven't really had a lot of time to work on the elevator pitch, so I've been. I'm happy with how that one went, but I think there's a lot of room for improvement on it. So.
On the good side, your follow-up stuff looks excellent. It looks like you guys are really trying hard, so confidence of that. But again, anytime you give an elevator pitch, try to make it move the ball forward. Again, the things we talked about is this is our value proposition. Here's a little bit about the marketing, passion things, succinctness. So try to do that. Anytime you do it, just try to get that. I call it a broken record speech. So minimum broken record speech. Good work. You guys are working hard.
Sadie, I want to know how you guys are determining what content you're putting up first. This content.
So I guess we're doing like our ideal world, like what this content would look like. So for me, I can't speak for Marissa, obviously this is going to be like a feature on someone in the indie game industry that has seen some form of success and how they got there. So a lot of our customer interviews have been that people aren't really interested in more like mainstream gaming companies, like interviews of them, because like they've been there for a while, they've been in this company, they probably got hired by someone, and that's how they've seen success, is already by this big company. They want to see like how people are getting success from like the ground up. So talking to an indie gamer and seeing how they started and how they found success basically is what we're looking for.
Okay. And so is that why you're trying to find this person to talk to for your first interview?
Yeah, so we're still looking for someone from an indie game company that is willing to talk to us.
And didn't you guys already say that you guys have some of those contacts?
We have contacts, we just haven't heard back from them about like being willing to do an interview.
Okay.
And we've had like people connect us with people that are like, oh, this person's perfect, and they're not like they're good for a customer interview, but they're not someone that we would want to start with as like someone to interview for a publication. Because for me, I would like to start with kind of like like what I said, like the ideal world like story of like an indie gamer who started from the ground up and like this is their story, and see what people think of that, and see if if that's something that they want more of. Cause I feel like if when we give a customer a story, they're gonna say, I like this, but you could also do this angle, or I don't like this at all, you should do something like this instead.
Mhm.
So, having that ideal world option, I think, is where I wanna start with.
And I guess maybe I'm trying to get to like, what's more important to you is to have that right first interview and it may take a little while longer, or to just get something out now, even though it may not be perfect? There's no right answer, but those, because if you're already having kind of an issue hearing back from this ideal person,
Yeah.
then you may, but the point of an MVP is to just get it out and see what that reaction is. So, so again, there's no right answer, but that seems to be kind of what you guys are dealing with. If you don't hear back from somebody by a certain time,
Yeah.
maybe then you call it and you say, okay, well, we'll do something else that we already have access to, so somebody needs to know.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Just one thought,
Yeah.
is that getting that interview is really hard, but there's like 2 people you can interview really easily. And maybe you just say, this is us. Who do you want us to talk to? And then do the threadless version is, don't have you decide who they wanna talk to. Let your audience tell you who they wanna hear from. Because then that can also give you, look, you can go to the person and say, look, we had, 10,000 people say they wanted to hear about you.
Okay. And that's like how to get the interview, like say, we've had a lot of people say they wanna hear about you.
Tell your story.
Yeah.
Do an interview where it's about you and your story and, just kind of talking about you. It's an MVP, it's a minimal viable product. You get your interview up, you get people, and they can see your story of what you're trying to do. Then you get feedback from them by saying, who do you want us to talk to? Leave your email. When we get them, we'll let you know.
All right, Leah, last comment?
Bert, are you saying for them to write their story? I agree. I think that's a great idea. I mean, I've seen you for over a month and a half. You're from the same department as me. I don't know your story. I'd love to read your story. And I'm not even a gamer, right? I now have a relationship with you because I see you here, but I think that if you can build that relationship and I am a gamer and I know the people who created the product, then I'm gonna wanna read more that they do. So I think your story is just as important because why else would you even wanna create it? There's a reason that you guys are doing this. So that story I think is definitely needs to be told.
All right, cool, thanks, Sadie. Who's next?
Wanna jump on it?
Yeah, test drive?
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Cool.
Yeah, so go ahead and just start with your elevator pitch real quick.
All right, so test drive, we're gonna bring your dealerships to the customer. And so dealerships are notorious for having a bad reputation. There's a person walks in, they don't really know who they're gonna trust. They know a lot about the car. Customers spend 98% of the sales process already just engaging, reading online. They know plenty about the car, but they don't know enough about the dealership. They're nervous when they walk in that dealership. They don't know the sales process. So how can we inform customers about the dealership, person they're buying from, earlier in the sales process, before they even step on the lot, when they're feeling comfortable, they're in the comfort of their own home. Test drive, who put that test drive? Test drive is bringing the dealership to your customer. How's this work? Like that? Cool. All right, so on the dealer side, you back up a step. This is gonna be done using just a smartphone. A dealer can hold the smartphone in their hand, or let me back up a step even further. The customer will call in asking for pictures about the car. And the dealership will send them a link, and from either a computer screen or their phone, they can interact live, see through the eyes of that dealer to see the car that they're interested in buying. And this, for the dealer, this allows them to interact with leads faster rather than texting back and forth. It speeds up the sales process, allows them to answer questions as they go. A customer might be interested in seeing the oil pan or the inside of the door, more specific questions that will help them tailor their pitch towards that customer. It also allows them to build a relationship and trust with that customer, which is a really important part of the buying process, especially when dealerships are notorious for not being trusted. And on the internet lead side, they can see cars virtually in more detail than just a picture, and will also ask those questions as they go. And it's also on their own time. And, for a lot of the people who live in rural areas or want to come down to Wyoming to see a car, they have to sometimes schedule out that appointment weeks in advance before they can find time to get down there. So why not speed along the sales process and allow them to visit this dealership from their favorite location? All right, so Little pivot update here. So FaceTime has already been used by multiple dealerships I've talked to. This is, like I said, faster than texting pictures for them. It allows customer to ask those questions and build that trust. I know the salespeople I've talked to who tried FaceTime already, they're a huge fan of the process. They said this is awesome, the customer loved it, the trust was built so much faster, being able to see their face and communicate over the phone and through video just really allowed that relationship to speed up a lot faster and build that trust lead towards the sale. And the problems with the FaceTime so far, in my MVP is going to be centered around FaceTime. Initially, the problems that they've expressed to me is that you can't zoom in on features, which is frustrating for them. The salesperson and the customer both need to have an iPhone for FaceTime to work, so there's the barrier. CRM integration was a smaller problem, but if we could streamline the appointment scheduling process, that would be a huge benefit to them. So the traditional sales process is the customer finds a car on the Car Guru as a third-party website, then they call that dealership, like I said, to ask for those pictures. Then they text questions back and forth, and this problem can take a while, but this conversation can take a while, customers can be slow to respond, and hopefully they can schedule an appointment. And with the test drive sales process, that customer will find that car, call in, but then the dealer will text them that link, and they can view the car live through the eyes of the dealer, right from their favorite device. And hopefully they can either buy or schedule an appointment right from there. From multiple dealers I've talked to, there's someone out of Nebraska who calls into Longmont Ford looking for a truck, and they're nervous. They don't know what this car looks like. He describes me over the phone, text me some more pictures. They want 10 custom pictures on top of the website, usually, just to understand what they're looking at. And so if we can bring the trust level up, help the disclosure, and help that customer feel more secure about the person they're buying from, then that sales process will hopefully get sped up. So what's next? The MVP, I'd like to see is FaceTime car sales in action. I've talked to a couple salespeople who've tried it, but I want to be there and see those barriers. Where's the customer getting frustrated? Where are they getting frustrated? Figure out what can be improved. Also define my customers. What kind of dealership is my target? And who are their customers? Who are their demographics? I'd also like to learn more about a product from DealerGen. You mentioned this guy out of Galvanized at a pitch. He has a product that's similar. He's using different technology. I'd like to find out what his barriers have been. I just have a couple questions here that you guys could probably help me answer.
Okay, go for it.
All right. Well, so it's time to pitch and learn. So I was wondering, first of all, how do I sign up for pitchers and pitches?
It doesn't exist anymore.
Whoa.
Next question.
I
I mean, as far as I understand, it's not going on at the Fort Collins Galvanized. It goes on to the other Galvanizes in Denver and Boulder.
Okay.
Yeah. And
So-
you also have to get on the Galvanized.
Okay, cool. And then so how do dealerships, and I want to know how, I can find out how dealerships or customers, man, that was rough. I want to know, how can I test if a customer wants an app or in the browser? So how do you guys have any recommendations about how I can figure out what this form I should take in the browser?
How about, instead of asking a technology question like that, find out what do they actually want out of the experience? What are they missing? What do you think they need? You know, what do they think they need to complete the sale? And then figure out what to do on the technology side separately. Like, you know, do I want an app or do I want a browser? No, I don't want either. I want a car.
Mm-hmm.
So help me get a car. Figure out what I need to do to get a car. And what does this salesperson need to close a deal? You know, what do they need on their end? And forget about app or browser. The answer is not an app. You know, but I don't know. Focus on the problem, not on the solution.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then what kinds of questions would you recommend I get asked to find out what's that problem?
I would.
Is
The
it
thing
getting
I would do if I was you is I'd call Longmont Ford, say I want to buy a truck.
Mm-hmm.
Can you
Become a customer?
FaceTime with me? Can you show me? Well, what is it? How does that work?
Okay.
Just call them up, buy a truck.
All right.
I would like to see if you could shadow someone who like a car salesman for a day and
Absolutely.
check out with his, and I know one, you know.
Okay, yeah, great, I'll talk to you after. Fantastic.
So one of your pain points that I think you did a good job on the pitch, bringing the dealership to the customer, that's kind of a good tagline. What struck me was relationship building and building relationship and trust. So what about this experience with your system is going to help build relationships and trust? What is that?
Absolutely. So as Chevrolet in Longmont said, and I couldn't have said it better, you sell the experience and not the car. He said when the moment you can start pitching to them and explaining how this is going to be and affect their lifestyle, how it can improve them, and how this car is more a piece of their life than just here's the mileage, here's the horsepower. And so then that's not really a pitch you can deliver and understand someone's problem just with the internet and through pictures and seeing multiple pictures of the car. So that's really been the salesperson's role. What they explain to me is not information because the customer knows information. It's about helping them understand how this is going to impact their life.
Okay, I kind of get that, but again, I would probably drill a little bit deeper than that. And
Okay.
So that all makes good sense, but I don't see, for me, the value, if your target is to build trust.
Right.
For me, my experience with car dealerships is cut out the BS.
Right.
You know, that's not what you're selling. If you're selling some sort of off-site experience with the car, so you don't have to go to the dealership.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. That may be your catch point, maybe your value proposition, because who really wants to go on a dealership, particularly if you're a woman? Who
Right.
wants to go on there?
Mm-hmm.
The answer is probably nobody.
Mm-hmm.
But does that really build trust? Is that what you're, what is the main thing?
Okay.
Is the virtual experience? Does that build trust?
Okay. That's something to think about.
So Sasha, we'll just give you a last point.
I love the pitch, I love the solution, really exciting. How many real customers, so you have really two users on two sides, right? You have dealership user, and you have on the other side of your app or technology or whatever the solution is, you have a real human, right?
Right.
So how many real humans that purchased the car in the last 3 to 6 months have you talked to in the last couple of weeks?
I've only had 6 dealership customer interviews,
Okay.
and that number needs to come way up. And I think that kind of comes down to why I haven't fully developed a value proposition for that customer. I've only talked to people that said they're really nervous about approaching the dealership a lot. That's the only pain point I've gotten out of them, and absolutely that needs to become developed a little bit more clearly.
So what do you usually ask when you meet those people?
The first thing right out of the gate I ask, can you tell me the last time you bought a car? Or what's your least favorite part about coming to this dealership? The questions I ask. And it's a hassle to get out here and find the time to do it. And I'm really nervous because I don't know what the sales process is going to look like. I don't know if I'm going to get manipulated.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I'll bump up the number.
Yeah.
You'll get more trends from the response.
Okay.
That was definitely my suggestion too.
Good.
You've talked to enough dealerships, you gotta get this.
Okay. All right. That's good to hear.
Cool.
Okay,
Thank you, guys.
thanks, thanks, Ty. Sapiens? Yep. That's who we're missing, so it's Derek. So I should go ahead and give us your elevator pitch while we're bringing up your slides.
Okay, is that stage real quick?
Hello, so I'm Ayush Mittal, founder of Accelerator Healthcare. Our objective is to use predictive analysis on personal health records to save lives. So we are trying to build a single platform where each and every patient can bring their health records either electronically or in paper form from their different providers and to keep it at one place. Now what do we have to offer after keeping all those records at one place? We run real-time analysis on those records, by which we will help you in managing your health. We will give you tips and suggestions how you can avoid chronic disease if you have one, or help you in maintaining, giving you better, how you can make good appointments with the doctor, make more faster and reliable. Okay, so this week I had a lot of customer interviews, basically people above the age of 35 plus, and only 2 resource person. So the total number of interviews this week was 8.
What point did this say?
So there are a few challenges on this path. So what are the biggest challenges? Lack of data. So one of them I mentioned, Jim also tried to get his own data from his provider, which he was not able to get. So it's really difficult to get the data, and without data we cannot do anything right now because it's all about analysis and predicting from data. The other things are the people with which I'm trying to interview, they are subject matter expert in the industry, and they are almost most of the time busy. So it's almost, if I try to get an interview this week, they're probably giving me 2 weeks time, or they're planning very late, 3-4 days late. So it's getting very hectic for those people and for me to get to them. And one more thing, when talking to people who are 25 plus of age, most of them are really not concerned about it. They're happy in the way they are using the healthcare system right now. they are like, okay, I trust my doctor, he's gonna give me a paper form and I'm gonna take that to my new doctor. They really don't care about this new technological thing. But yeah, people who are techie people, like I talked to one of people in engineering who was like 40 plus, and he was like really interested and see, yeah, I'm gonna use that technology. But if I take an example of someone I talked to who works in library, he's like, I don't care about it. I'm happy with the system going on. So I feel there's a lack of awareness, but I'm not sure whether when it keep creating awareness, people will be willing to get into such system or not. So, yep. So what I'm currently trying to do is trying to find more contacts in Epic in the CSU College of Engineering Career Fair. I found 2 employees of Epic. I'm trying to make a contact and see if they can help me out and understand what's actually going in Epic right now, because Epic is one of the biggest provider for these electronic health records, and they already have started doing some kind of analytics on their health records, but it's in the initial phase. So I'm just trying to see if I can find something more out of it. The other thing is like trying the other links to like other people to talk and contact. They're doing a market research on other products, basically what kind of products are in the market. Okay.
Right. Questions, feedback for Ayush?
So you learned that people over 35 were just not interested in
No,
this?
they're not. It depends. I would segregate them into 2 different sections. One who are tech people, like basically have an engineering background or IT background. They understand the value of this technology, saying, yeah, I really want my electronic records. And people who are not into this business, maybe simply accountants or something like that, they say, I'm happy with the existing things. I will take the paper record. Like, I'm okay in taking the burden, going to the hospital, making 2-3 rounds to a new doctor, printing the paper and bringing up. I don't want to spend my time on this thing. That's what I have heard from the people.
So, Ayush, I think that I'm just gonna throw this out here because I think that you're kind of dealing with the problem too that, like, number one, they may or may not know what you're saying, right? So you need to just check, like, how are you doing that interview? How are you
Okay.
explaining what you do? Did you explain it in a little bit of a different way and get a different response? Or do they really get it and they're just still, like, not concerned?
Okay.
The other thing to think about is Henry Ford said, if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse. Nobody would have said, I want a car. If anybody had told me, hey, wouldn't it be awesome if you had a computer in your pocket at all times, I'd be like, absolutely not. That would be totally horrible. And look at how, pervasive iPhones are. So there's something about, like, you're sort of proposing something, too, that people are like, yeah, but it works just fine. It's almost as if, but once they were able to kind of see the effects of a car versus a horse, they're like, oh man, look at that car.
Yeah.
But you can't really explain that to people who have only ever ridden horses their whole life. Because they're like, yeah, they're totally fine. No problem picking up the poo, like, everywhere we go. It's okay. So I'm just thinking you might be kind of dealing a little bit in that kind of scenario.
Okay.
And whether or not that's something that you can work around, or do you need to be talking to a different person that can then understand really a little bit more about what you're doing, like the actual data analytics side and the SMEs that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Just a thought for you to take into consideration. Because you are dealing with something that's fairly complicated, and trying to explain it is hard.
Yeah, I try to explain very simple words to them. And if I also share a video with you, so I think it won't be really helpful right now. So I'm trying to work on something else, like printing a flyer, basically telling you very simple steps what to do and how I'm gonna achieve my objectives and how it's going to benefit you, basically. That might help them, like handing over a flyer and then talking to them. To do something.
So have you changed the value proposition based on, the geezers in the room, I'll be one of them. Those of us with gray hair, we fall into this group that don't see value in it. Does that change how you're approaching your problem? Maybe selling to consumers isn't the right thing, but what do people on the service provider side say that they see value?
Coming to a service provider, I'm not able to get the interviews from them, basically, because they're all busy. That's the biggest challenge right now, because until I don't talk to a physician, a doctor, or someone in the industry who's working, like someone who's working in Epic, or someone who's working in Medtronic or Kaiser on the health records, it would just be an assumption for me saying, okay, they want it, but it won't be something really I feel like good, because it's just my assumption. I don't have any proof to prove it.
Is Epic the,
Epic is an electronic health record provider, one of the biggest in US.
one way you could do this is just kind of start getting a cough and you go to the infirmary and get in line and talk to somebody.
Okay.
You'll talk to the doctor and they'll say, what do
Yeah,
you think about
that's-
this electronic health record thing?
That's what I'm trying
Interview
to, that's what I'm thinking right now. Like I will just take an appointment with a doctor on my health insurance and we'll just go and talk to him. Like I don't have any issue. I just want to talk to you about filter cards.
Or you could just say, you know what my issue is? You guys are just way too busy and I can't talk to you.
Yeah.
So I just have you right now.
Right.
So,
You might get the response that Stein did with the car
Yeah.
dealers, an angry doctor.
Summarize the pain that you're solving in one sentence, what would that be?
Okay, summarizing the pain, better management of your health. Like people have issues in managing their health because they have different records from different providers. I'm bringing it at one place and will give them suggestions and tips so they can avoid chronic disease in future, or if they have one, how they can be better. That's
So how do you figure out if that's the pain and who's the customer?
So customer is like patients, like us. We are the main customers of it. And
Okay.
how do I identify the pain? Based on my personal story. Like, okay, I feel if there could have been something centralized where I don't need to tell the same story to each doctor again and again, and I can just give them one single thing. Here's my whole thing. Just like tell them what's going on, what's wrong with me. Basically, that's the motivation for that.
Okay, I would make a quick suggestion, create a simple one-page PDF file
Okay.
with a story, your personal story or somebody's personal story that actually happened, and explain what went wrong, and then have a second side with your solution to say what could have been done better in that story. How would that save time, save resources, save pain? What exactly would be better? Story of the problem, a story of the impact. So it's easy conversation because it's a visual thing. You don't have to explain anything in any kind of terms. People can look and they'll just say, oh, yeah, I remember transferring to another doctor. Oh my God, it was a pain in the butt. Oh my God, I remember. What are you offering? Oh, this is awesome. See what I'm saying? So you could have a more thoughtful conversation because it's more condensed.
I think also the consumer market might be not necessarily healthy adults, like people with chronic diseases. Because I have ongoing health concerns that I've had to carry things around for 15 years, and that's exhausting. My sister won't understand that. She's not going to see the value. But I would sit down and take the time, and I would be happy to do that because it would be so much worth it. So I think that there still might be someone, but you're just trying to find like chronic maybe might be a good place.
So it would be like targeting the right people.
Yes.
Right, if you
Yes.
found someone with type 1 diabetes
Yeah.
and said, hey, you know, if your insulin's low, like, can you email your doctor? Like, if you get into someone, like, personal, like she was saying, to piggyback off of it,
Right.
then I think you'll really start to appeal to people who struggle every day.
Okay.
Because they're gonna be the ones who care more, I think.
Yep. Right.
thanks, Adrian.
Oh.
Oh,
Well,
sorry.
while you're getting set up, I wonder if like even just some of these Facebook forums where people, you know, people do meet up for different things, like there's tons of meetups on, or Facebook on different chronic issues or different things, if you could join one and start
Stuff like that.
talking
Right.
to people and seeing if you could get anyone who'd wanna participate in your study, like to
Okay.
talk to, there might be people out there
Yeah.
that you could talk to that way. Yeah.
Thanks, Adrian.
Yep.
All right, cool.
Hello, I'm Caitlin McLaughlin. I'm the founder of Caitlin Mack Clothing Company. And our goal is to provide plus-size women with made-in-America clothing. Now, this is a big problem because a lot of standard-sized women have several brands that offer made-in-America clothing, but there are very few that offer this to plus-size women. There are millions of women who are plus size, which would be a size 12 or higher, and the ratio is just going higher. So this is a big market gap that is not being met already. So far, I've talked to 17 customers, 41 other people, including partners, competitors, manufacturers, media, and then 2 saboteurs. So I'll just get into some updates. So I attended the Colorado Apparel and Manufacturing Summit last Wednesday, and I actually received a designer award for Colorado manufacturing. So that was out of 100 companies. And then I also spoke with the the wholesale brand manager of American Apparel. His name is Brad. And I asked him, you know, are you going to get into plus size soon? And he said, no, basically. In essence, their brand image is a stick-thin woman, and that's what they're going to stick to. Yes. And I said, okay, well, good to know. So they have no intent of addressing this market, and they are the biggest competitor in the American-made apparel industry. He also gave me insight in that foreign countries find value in American-made products. So that was something I found very interesting, that they have good sales in Japan, for example. I also did a lecture series, and 54 people attended. So I made some great connections there and got some feedback on co-design, and the process of that would be helpful. And then I also was featured in the Collegian Cachet. So that was a surprise. So as one of the top 5 things to do this weekend, my exhibit. So for those that don't know, I have an exhibit in the Avenir Museum. And so the Collegian decided to feature me on that part. So that was exciting as well. I've met with a grant writer. She works with a foundation, and she's helping me to prepare myself for an interview for a grant. And then I've also had partners reach out to me, and I've also reached out to partners as well. CJ Riggins, actually, we met at the Apparel Manufacturing Summit, and she would like to work together, and other companies as well. And then on the side, you'll see one of 2 of my minimum viable products. I'm thinking the one that would be the most minimal would be leggings, digitally textile designed leggings, and then also the hoodie sweater dress. So these are both been popular garments in my first collection that I think could be to market the fastest. So that's all for me on that part.
Okay, awesome. Real quick, Caitlin, what's coming up? What's next?
What's coming up? I'm working on building my website. I have someone who's I'm trying to get the landing page mainly. And also I'm reaching out to the partners that have talked to me. With my manufacturing award, I am going to be talking to one of the coordinators for that and seeing how she thinks, you know, getting business advice on the manufacturing of that. So I'd like to basically put in leggings into production soon, small batch or in my house. I think that's what's next, because I keep getting orders for custom garments right now.
Okay.
And customer outreach, of course.
So you're selling, correct?
Yeah, I am already. People are approaching me.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm feeling that I need to meet the demand with product. So that's the biggest pressure right now I'm feeling.
Okay.
So.
Well, that's a really good way to see what your customers want, is by trying new products and then following up.
Yeah.
So
And that's so I'm making the leggings right now. I've got a couple orders for those as well. And then I'm gonna use my manufacturing award that I got to try to get some of the hoodie dresses into production. And working with some of the manufacturing partners that I've already made to see if they can get my product going.
What was the award again?
So it was a Colorado Manufacturing Design Award. So all of the Colorado companies submitted design proposals, and prototypes that were close enough or viable enough product were awarded a manufacturing prize.
So it was funds to go to manufacturing?
Mm-hmm.
Domestic?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, and there's a couple of different manufacturers. So I met, one is called RCAM, they're rural Colorado apparel manufacturers. And they feature 4-H women especially, who need extra salary and off-season. And then another manufacturer, they help train women who are on food assistance. So it would be with probably one of those companies.
And what was the digital design aspect of the leggings?
So this one doesn't have the digital design on it. I wasn't able to get the picture, it was too large. But you'll notice the hood has a digital design print. And so I have a collection of well over 30 textiles right now. And I found a good result from one that's called Asphalt. And that's the one I've been getting a lot of orders in. And so I've already sold 3 pairs of those ones. So that's kind of what I'm gonna focus on. Because I think the basic leggings might be kind of harder to market. But the textile adds something.
is that your idea is to use like sustainable materials, right, or is
So
there anything like that?
The sustainability is very important to me. However, it's not as important to my consumers. And I actually found that when I was talking to Brad at American Apparel, he found that as well. That his consumers did not really care as much about organic cotton, but the Made in America part really kept selling them. And I was noticing that myself. So while I will still be conscious of it, it's not going to be what I base my whole company around. I think, but Made in America seems to be it's still important to me and it's still important to them. Just getting the right jobs to the right people. A lot of right now, American manufacturing doesn't have as much skilled sewers. So people don't want to work or they don't know how to do it.
I was just at a conference and there was a guy who was working with ex-convicts who a lot of them are trained in sewing.
Yeah.
I don't know, and apparently that's pretty big in California.
Yeah, well, like 4-H.
Okay, that's what it is.
Well, that's not convicts. Those are it's just another branch of people who are trained in sewing.
So if there's a small number of supply of employees that could produce these kinds of clothes in the U.S., how do you plan to overcome that barrier?
Really dedicated investors. No. The manufacturing, so this was a big concern that we were all talking about at the Apparel Manufacturing Summit, is that as a small company, manufacturing locally has its advantages. You tend to have lower quantities and things like that. So it might be very suited for a small company to start in America. Because sending overseas, you end up having longer lead times and usually have bigger quantities. So I don't think it's going to be as big of a problem because there's other people who are spending their whole time training these sewers. So I'm not taking on the task of finding the workforce. I'm just sending the money to the people who are. So there's other foundations who are streamlining everything, teaching and getting the machine. So yeah.
Cool, thanks, Kara. Awesome, good job. Okay, can you do another one of those cash things that I
Sure.
have?
Yeah, well this is my mom's card reveal, so we can make a copy.
Yeah, that'd be fine. Okay. Yeah, or I'll.
Yeah.
I just wanna copy from my own.
You can stand
Paul,
back here and
yeah?
heckle me.
Is it you, Paul?
Sure.
There you go.
I've been passed.
You've been tasked?
Yeah, it was just kind of smaller, so that's why I didn't show it.
All right, I'm Paul Stone, for all of you who don't know me, and my wife and I, we are founders of Accelerator, which is an application. Well, let me back up, do my pitch, right? That's kind of the format that we're starting at.
Okay.
So, you drive home every single day, and you love your house. You're proud of what you've done. For those of you that don't own a house, you drive up to your rental or your apartment building, and you think, how could this look better? What can I do to make it more me? How can it become who I am? Because I own it. And you think, I don't want to contact an architect. I don't want to contact a contractor. I don't know how to use AutoCAD or anything else that really helps me with design. So how can I make my house mine? Here comes Curb Appeal. Curb Appeal allows you to take a photo of your house and integrate in some different characteristics, architectural designs, colors, siding, door preferences, whatever sort of feature you'd like to see on your own house, you can now see it through your own photo that you've taken. And we intend to make that mobile or possibly even browser interface so you can do a little bit more manipulation. And that's it. So, this week, last couple of weeks, we have interviewed 9 more people, a few more users. We're getting the same kind of feedback on the user interface, and it's going along the same lines. People are excited about it, except this week we introduced our minimum viable product, which we'll show you at the end here, and it is very much a minimal viable product. But it's fun nonetheless, and it gives a good depiction of what we're up to. We talked to 3 more customers, a couple of contractors, and an architect, and they seem like it would save them some time. That's kind of the direction of those interviews as well. But we actually interviewed a developer this week, which was really interesting because he gave us some great perspective and some good ideas of the cost, what our barrier to get into this industry is going to be as far as the technology goes, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But total now, we've interviewed 70 people and have a lot of great information. So, the business education that came from this developer, after we kind of walked him through the whole product, showed him what we're trying to do with a minimal viable product, he said that it should cost between $150,000 and $300,000 to get a full product put in place, which is quite a bit. It's not my bank account right now. So we talked about a prototype. Going back to one of the slides that Bert put up the other day, or a couple weeks ago, of creating maybe the skateboard instead of the car to begin with, to see what sort of path the customer is actually going to take. So we talked about a prototype, and he said that we could probably do something between $10,000 and $50,000, depending on what sort of features we want to have, how limited we want it to be or need it to be. And so our task now is to interview some more developers to see if what he's telling us is actually accurate, and see if we like some other people better. He's a good guy, nothing against him, but more bids are better than just one. So after that, he said that the number one goal, no matter which approach we decide to take or how we're going to monetize this, we want to get a long list of users. Whether that's through our prototype stage, just get enough people on there that we can collect the data and understand what people are doing, how they're behaving with this, and what they'd like to see more of. So we want to make it free or very, very close to free. We don't want to have any in-app advertisements unless it's some sort of native advertising. I'm going slow today. And then we'll take down all their behavior and everything like that. So then the products, he brought up a whole different paradigm that we never really understood or didn't acknowledge before, but in every single region of the United States, they have different stores. So here, Lowe's and Home Depot are popular, whereas back east, it's probably a different store. So we want to look at those distributors a little bit more specifically if we want to integrate their product into this model somehow. And that kind of goes through a lot of the same things I just talked about. Yeah, I'll get right into the limited viable product. So our mentor said you need to create a wireframe and make it look really fancy and snazzy. We looked at the wireframe programs and it's way above our heads. So we made it out of PowerPoint, which is fun. But it really shows the picture. I'll stand back here so I'm not in front of you guys. So look, there's a picture of your house. Now you can choose what sort of theme you'd like your house to be. We chose a modern haunted house since it's October. You put new siding on the front. Bigger window. Different color paint. Some sconces out front. Maybe some rickety old shingles up on top. And a little bit bigger window up there. And of course you need the witch to fly around.